Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a 1 in the live chat, and then we can get today's stream started. Please drop a 1 in the live chat, and we get today's stream started. As I'm waiting for the ones to come into the live chat, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button, so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And give me just a moment. There's a few pre-live stream things that I forgot to do that I'm doing right now. I just want to make sure that I simulcast this on Rumble and Twitter. My apologies for not doing that beforehand. So give me just a moment. If you notice, I haven't been looking at the screen at all, because I dropped the ball a little bit on that one. But we should be streaming now on Twitter and Rumble right now. So once again, thank you all for joining me. And let's get into today's stream. Let's get into today's show and today's topic. As you can see by the title of the video, right? Black Chicago citizens beg for housing while migrants move in. We're going to get into all that right now. What we're seeing unfold, and what we have been seeing unfold throughout the entirety of the time, throughout the entire time that Harris and Biden has been in office, is folks getting, as the saying goes, what you voted for, right? Or maybe what you didn't vote for if you didn't participate, and, Trump loses battleground states, and then here you go, right? You got Biden in office. Black Light said immediately unsubscribing. I know, I'm just so unprofessional. But at the end of the day, or I should say at the end of the day, at the start of this stream, folks are getting what they voted for, right? That's just the reality of it. I'm going to start here from the jump. Brandon Johnson in Chicago. He told you all what he was about from the jump. Mayoral challenger Brandon Johnson unveils plan to help migrants, refugees, and immigrants. He told you what he was about from the very beginning. Here's another article. Chicago mayoral candidate Brandon Johnson unveils plan to support migrants. He let everybody know what he was about. But folks voted for him anyway in Chicago, and now they're regretting it. Now they're regretting it. And the same thing goes with, Joe Biden. He told you all what he was about, especially and specifically. I'm targeting the Black population, as Trump would say. I'm targeting the Black population right now. When Joe Biden was asked about reparations for the Black population, he told you all that he was going to give it to the Hispanic community, and that's kind of how we're seeing things play out. He told you straight up, and I think he got 90 some odd % of the Black vote. Let's just play that though, in case you think I'm lying. Here goes the video. Many of you have seen this 1,000,001 times on this channel, but let's run it one more time.
Do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different, and we should invest in them.
Thank you, Mr. Biden. Senator Klobuchar, you had your hand up.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, these guys, they tell you who they are and what they're about, and I don't know, some of us are just so hard-headed, we vote for them anyways, and then we complain about it afterwards and cry about it afterwards. I don't know what to tell you, Not the guy that I'm voting for, though.
I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Trump would never. Trump would never. But in all seriousness, though, man, we're watching everything play out exactly how the Democrats said that it would play out, because everything that we're seeing happen is precisely what they said is what they were going to do. They're doing what they said they were going to do. So as we continue to move forward, and with the election on hand, right, it's about what, a month and a half away. The real question is are you gonna, vote blue no matter who, that DNC chip gonna activate, and you're gonna vote for them again anyways, after the fact that they've already told you numerous times what they're going to do moving forward. We've watched the clip of Elizabeth Warren. I've read the article where she was speaking on behalf of Kamala Harris in an interview where she was discussing how they're going to make sure that they fully fund the border, which means like we're going to process illegal immigrants coming into the country faster. And on top of that, she said that she was going to make sure to send money, resources to cities and states that are housing migrants, cities and states like Chicago and New York and Washington, D.C. and Denver and whatnot. And Chicago is definitely in desperate need. They're definitely in desperate need because getting back to Chicago, which is the main city of discussion for today, Chicago has fallen into a deficit of $1 billion behind your new neighbors. $1 billion in the red behind their new neighbors. I want you to think about that for a moment in the midst of like past reparations talk. Right? I want you to think about how reparations is going to bankrupt the nation. Reparations is going to bankrupt your city if they do it locally. Reparations is going to bankrupt your state if they do it in the state, right? Like all this stuff, like they can't do for you because it's going to bankrupt you. Going to bankrupt it, right? That's what you've been told. But as we can see, and what I've stated over and over again, when it comes to the DNC, they can do what they want when they want, because when it comes to the migrant crisis, when it comes to all type of resources and funding concerning going towards Biden and Harris's migrants, despite what the polls say, despite how unpopular it is, they do what they want to do, and they make it rain, so much so that Chicago is $1 billion in the hole. $1 billion in the hole. But then again, once again, I'm going to keep saying this, they're doing exactly what they told you they were going to do. So we can't really be that surprised now, can we? Pritzker says city leaders have not approached the state about Chicago's budget deficit. Let's just go through this very quickly. As Chicago grapples with a nearly $1 billion budget gap in the coming year, the city shouldn't count on the state to help fill it. J.B. Pritzker said, you better call somebody else. He's not bailing out Brandon Johnson. At least it doesn't look like it yet. And this wouldn't be the first time that J.B. Pritzker played Brandon Johnson for a fool. But we're not going to get into all that right now because I don't want to go off the rails of this live stream. Let's carry on. Pritzker said he's reading things in the newspaper about relief Chicago may want from the Illinois government. But at this point, that's not something his budget team is thinking about. So he said, I'm reading this stuff in the paper just like you guys are reading in the paper. And apparently, allegedly, we're going to bail them out. But that's not what we're thinking about right now. Oh, J.B. Pritzker is going to play Brandon Johnson for a complete fool. But like I said, it wouldn't be the first time. J.B. Pritzker said, we don't plan our next budget until I introduce it in February. And I don't think there'll be a supplemental that will be discussing, and I don't think there will be any supplemental that'll be discussing what the city would want, though we haven't been asked. The article continues to read, Mayor Brandon Johnson released a forecast in late August estimating the city is facing a $928 million budget gap in 2025. That's on top of the nearly $223 million deficit this year. Oh, man. Just all in the red for your new neighbors, man. New neighbors getting it all in Chicago. Y'all not getting nothing. Citizens ain't getting nothing, but your new neighbors are getting everything they want. $1 billion in the hole, that's $1 billion plus. 982 million plus 223 million. Anyways, the article continues to read. I'll start there again. That's on top of a nearly $223 million deficit this year, which the administration announced Monday it will tackle by implementing a hiring freeze and limiting travel and overtime. So no more of that overtime money, okay? Even if Trump gets into office and he puts in place no tax on overtime, y'all not getting any of that anyways, because there's no overtime in Chicago because we got to pay for your new neighbors and all this housing that they're getting that you don't have access to, okay? Because apparently there's a housing crisis in the country. There's a housing crisis in Chicago, but Biden's migrants, Harris migrants, they're not finding trouble finding houses. But you are, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. Chicago public schools. This is just ridiculous and sad. Chicago public schools, which like Illinois, has a fiscal year beginning in July, is also projecting deficits for its next fiscal year and will likely have a shortfall this year as well, given the fact that teachers union contracts that's currently in negotiations is expected to add to the deficit's bottom line. Oh, the teachers union, they're not doing nothing. They're not teaching your kids nothing in Chicago. I know those state exam tests and whatnot concerning reading and mathematics. I know that it's a sight to see, unfortunately. And you got this contract that's in negotiation. They're going to want more money for nothing. They're going to want more money for failing to teach your kids into city schools and adding to the deficit. That's crazy work. But in other news, how does it go? What is it in SpongeBob SquarePants, right? You have all this going on, and then they flash to that card that goes, meanwhile, right? All this is happening. Meanwhile,
the Gomez family officially.
Let's rewind it back just a little bit. I got to take it from the top. Meanwhile,
today, the Gomez family officially welcomed friends to their new home in North Austin.
Sí, es mi sueño.
Gabriel Gomez tells us it's his dream. This is what he wanted for his children. It is the first home for this family of four, and it is the first time they have lived in anything bigger than one bedroom for 8 years.
¿Cuál es la reacción? Nosotros estamos muy felices.
Eyuvele Surengel says they are very happy, and this is an important step for their family. Originally from Venezuela, they worked and worked in food service as an auto mechanic, delivering food, factory work. When they first arrived in Chicago in 2022 as new arrivals, they landed at Grace and Peace Church. This home is the first of 4 distressed West Side homes the church bought, rehabbed, and sold.
I want you to notice the highlighting of how they worked, and they just got here in 2022, right? They got here in 2020. Do they have any substantial credit history that would even allow you to qualify for a home? Substantial work history, substantial like anything like that would allow you to qualify to even buy a home? Like that's crazy work. But let's highlight how they emphasized on they worked and worked and worked and worked. That's a subliminal. They're just letting you know that, you citizens are just lazy. You just don't want to work. They got here in 2022. Across the board in 2022 under Harris's watch and already buying a home in your city where, let me pull this up on the screen right now. We're going to get back to the video in a second. They're buying a home in your city. Meanwhile, you're over here struggling, can't buy nothing. Let me zoom in on this. I know I'm not trying to be mean, right? I'm really not. But look, she over here crying. Look at it. South Side residents losing their homes, push for housing reform. This is our city. No, it's not. It's not your city. Look, she crying and everything. She crying and everything. And I don't say that like I said, to be silly or to make fun. Or I'm just highlighting the reality of what's going on out here. She over here crying, saying that we need housing reform. And she crying, you know what I'm saying? But hold on just a second. I'm getting too ahead of myself. And the slang is coming out. I said, you know what I'm saying? Let me get back into like more of like my proper English voice. Let me fix the screen. Give me just a second. And let me get back into character. Let me get back into character for a moment. As you can see, the woman here on the south side of Chicago is crying. She's crying because, you know, Chicago citizen, been in the city most likely her whole life. You know what I mean? And she can't buy housing, right? They're getting kicked out of their housing. Gentrification is going on. All type of stuff is going on over there. I'll read a little bit of it because there's a lot that's to this article here. I strongly suggest you read this article. If I remember to, which I hopefully I will leave this article pinned in the comment section below. But we'll just start here. I just want to read the first paragraph off. Neighborhoods like Woodlawn, where the Barack Obama Presidential Center is being built, and Barack Obama and your new neighbors are getting you out the paint. That's crazy work. Neighbors like Woodlawn, where the Barack Obama Presidential Center is being built, have seen rapid development recently, and activists on the South Side say reform is needed to protect residents before they lose their home. Biden's migrants didn't need reform. They didn't need none of that. We know that they want South Shore, just like they wanted Woodlawn and Kenwood, said Christina Powell, who was recently evicted from her family home in Woodlawn. People need to wake up before we find ourselves among the unhoused. Powell was among several Southside residents who spoke at a news conference Thursday outside Jackson Park Terrace Apartments. They, along with others, are joining forces to push for housing reform and protection from rapid gentrification. But you know who isn't worried about like rapid gentrification? You know who isn't pushing for housing reform because I guess they don't really need to, is, this family that we're going to get back into right now. Let's jump into it. They're doing great. They are doing amazing. Just got here 2 years ago. Don't speak no English, no nothing. I don't even know if you got any credit history, but got a new house in Chicago. Meanwhile, the Black residents on the south and west side of Chicago are literally crying because they can't get housing and they're being kicked out of their housing and gentrified out of it. I mean, listen, city and state quickly moves thousands of migrants from shelters into homes across the south and west side. But will they stay? At the time of this article, and I've referenced this article so many times, this article was written, I believe it was back in May, if I remember correctly. And back in May, when this article was originally written, talking about how Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker were moving in thousands of migrants into the south and west side of Chicago, I believe this article reads that it was somewhere around like $54 million that they had spent at the time back in May. That has gone well over $100 million at this point. That's gone well over $100 million. They didn't need any type of housing reform, any type of voting from the public. They didn't care about polling numbers, no nothing. They didn't care about what the citizen population think. The DNC makes things happen when they want to make it happen, especially in states like California and New York and Illinois. That is a DNC stronghold. It's blue from top to bottom. They make things happen when they want to make it happen. But when it comes to its citizens, once again, its citizens are out here in tears, literally crying, crying, saying we need reform. No, you don't need reform. You just need, to vote Trump in 2024. Outside from that, you just need, the DNC people that claim to love Black people so much. You just need them to actually treat you fairly with some equity and equality. They like to talk about equity and equality a lot, don't they? Everything is about equity and equality and equal rights and all that kind of stuff, but we see who's receiving priority in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. We see. And once again, they told you that they were going to receive priority. They literally told you that they were going to receive priority. They told you this a million times over. But that's enough of me yapping right now. I want to get back into the actual story. But before I do that, please hit the like button if you haven't already. That is extremely important. Please don't just watch and hear me say that and not hit the like button. Please do that. And I do have to thank my contributors because without them, I just don't exist. Thank you to Coco G for the super sticker. I appreciate you, Coco G. Thank you very much. Driver Seat, who said Black people. What? You guys can see that my hairline is going away pretty bad. Black people lie. I don't know. Black people something their reparations 2020, 2021. in the form of PPP loans. He said black people received their reparations in 2020 and 2021 in the form of PPP loans. I don't know about all that, but I appreciate you, driver's seat. I appreciate you for the contribution. Untried Genius said FBA reparations, ? Free housing for immigrants. Amen. Biden and Harris's migrants are getting everything that they desired. Everything they told you they were going to give you. TD code switching like he said TD code switching like Democrat NPCs on X say Kamala is. Yeah, I was code switching. You said I was getting a little bit too ahead of myself. And for those of you who don't know, if you're new to the channel, TD is not a real person. I don't actually exist. I'm a Russian bot powered by artificial intelligence and ChatGPT programmed to push misinformation on YouTube to convince Black Americans to vote for Trump. You know what I mean? Like that's who I am. And I glitched a little bit just now. I did what some people are called code switching, right? But I wasn't code switching. It was just a glitch. But they updated my programming in real time. So now I'm back in character being my professional self. Right. And not talking with all that type of slang and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But let's get back into TD. Are you aware of how much you're laughing? I am aware of how much I'm laughing. I'm aware of how much I'm laughing because everything that's happening is so foolish that I can't help but to laugh. If I didn't laugh, I would cry. I would legitimately cry if I didn't laugh. But let's get back into the story over here concerning the family from Venezuela that has only been here 2 years and already have housing, while this woman here and many of the other residents of Chicago are crying. Let's get into it.
As an auto mechanic, delivering food, factory.
Oh yeah, that's where I was with it. Yeah. They're harping so much on how much they work. They're working hard. They're working hard. They came here and they worked hard because you citizens are lazy. You just don't want to work. You just don't want to work. That's why they were able to get housing in 2 years. You know what I mean? And you're been living there your whole life and can't get housing.
Venezuela, they worked and worked in food service as an auto mechanic, delivering food, factory work. When they first arrived in Chicago in 2022 as new arrivals, they landed at Grace and Peace Church. This home is the first of 4 distressed West Side homes the church bought, rehabbed, and sold.
We met them at the bus and they were so distressed and worked through a whole process with them. And now they're stabilizing their own home. It's awesome.
With all of their savings,
It's
programs
awesome.
to assist first-time home buyers, and an individual taxpayer identification number, the Gomez family made their dreams come true.
Realmente ahorita estamos viendo nuestro sueño americano.
Rengel says, really now is the American dream.
Grace and Peace Church.
Living that American dream, boy. Living that American dream. But are the citizens of Chicago living the American dream? That's the real question. Are they living the American dream, or are they in tears? Like you see this woman here. Are the citizens of Chicago, particularly the Black residents, and the reason that I'm keep highlighting Black folks is because we voting blue is a religion. We love to vote blue no matter who. So while others who just arrived here 2 years ago are living the American dream, who's in tears? Who's in tears? Saying that, oh, we need reform. We need reform. This isn't right. What's happening? The gentrification and the getting pushed out, and and the way our property taxes are going up, and da 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 da. You need reform. But Harris's migrants didn't need reform. How come they didn't need any reform? Brandon Johnson told you bring Chicago home. That was something that he was doing for Black people. I don't have the video queued up right now. I could pull it up, but I'm not going to, for the sake of time, I'm not going to pull it up right now. Right. But he told you, if you want to know what I'm doing for Black folks, this is what I'm doing for Black folks. Bring Chicago Home was a failed initiative that was shot down by the courts before it was still brought to the ballot in Chicago and Illinois primary, right? It was brought to the ballot anyway. The people struck it down, as they should, because they knew better, and they knew that money was not going to go to the homeless, right? It was going to go to migrants. But nonetheless, it was an initiative that was shot down by the courts before the people voted against it. And Brandon Johnson said that that's what he was doing for Black people. That's what he said that he was doing for you, to house the Black homeless population. My question is, how come they didn't need to put anything on the ballot for Biden and Harris's migrants to get all the housing that they got? How come they didn't need the public to decide on that? Once again, they do what they want to do when they want to do it. They literally do what they want to do when they want to do it. And then gaslight you on all this racism, white supremacy, discrimination, so on and so forth. They gaslight you for votes just to not do anything about the things that they're speaking of, to then in turn move forward with their priorities to open up a border, flood the country with illegal immigrants, bring them into your community, and then house them to the tunes of millions of dollars, literally in your community that you've been living in forever, providing them with free housing, and you're crying. You're crying. I think I can leave it there. I really think that that's really all that needs to be said here. I think that's all that needs to be said here. Who's in tears and who's in housing? Who's on the street looking for housing and can't find it? And who just crossed the border last week and are being housed? I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. You all know what to do this November. You all know what to do. And then it goes beyond that. It goes beyond November, and going into your local officials in terms of flipping city council seats and whatnot. Doesn't stop with the election, but that's up to the listeners right now. That's up to you and not somebody else. So, that's all I got for you guys today. Take heed. Look at what's going on out here. The information's been presented to you. This stream could be a whole lot longer with me just going down the list of things, but I think you all get the point. So we're going to end it right here. Thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button if you have not already. That is extremely important that you do that. Share this video out on your social media platforms. Like the video if you haven't. And also don't forget to follow me on Rumble and Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Rumble and Telegram are in the description box below and will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time, and until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon. And thank all the contributors to the channel as well, especially those of you who may have hit me up on Venmo and CashApp. I don't get the notifications on my phone. My apologies, but thank you all as well. Peace.